the President of the United States, Joe Biden.
The political sentiment around President Biden nosedived after his halting debate performance more than 3 weeks ago, and despite efforts to resuscitate his political fortunes, the die was cast, with polls pointing to almost two-thirds of Democrats of the view that Biden should stand down and allow someone younger to lead the party into November's election.
It's a very dramatic moment. I mean, I don't recall anyone else, a likely nominee, stepping aside literally 3 months prior to a general election. So I think Biden reached the point where the crescendo of bad polls, the money was starting to dry up, all these elected officials were urging him not to run, where he just sat down, thought about it, and he actually did put the country above his own political prospects. Most people do not want to give up power. He is giving up power.
In a letter addressed to his fellow Americans, Biden said it had been the greatest honor of his life to serve as their president, and that while it had been his intention to seek re-election, he believed it was in the best interest of the party and the country to stand down. Offering his full support and endorsement for Kamala Harris to be the nominee, who has since received dozens of additional endorsements from within the party, making her the early frontrunner.
Kamala Harris is the likely nominee of the Democratic Party. Biden, through his support to her when he announced he was not going to be running, several of the leading Democrats who actually could have contested this campaign already are starting to come out and say they are not going to seek the nomination. So Kamala Harris will be able to reset this campaign. The polls have actually been moving in favor of Donald Trump over the last few weeks. I think her likely nomination will put Democrats in a strong position. She'll be very competitive in those crucial Midwestern states, Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin. And I think she also will put some of those other swing states that have started to slip away, places like Arizona, back in very strong contention for Democrats.
Republicans, including party nominee and former President Donald Trump, have expressed their unhappiness with the latest developments, taking to social media to complain that Democrats have stolen the race from Biden after he won the primary, calling them a threat to democracy. Republican Speaker of the House Mike Johnson called it an unprecedented juncture in American history, accusing the Democratic Party of forcing their presumptive nominee off the ballot while hinting at some legal challenges.
14 million Democrats voted to make Joe Biden the nominee. So it would be wrong and I think unlawful in accordance to some of these states' rules for a handful of people to go in a back room and switch it out because they don't like the candidate any longer. That's not how this is supposed to work. So I think they would run into some legal impediments in at least a few of these jurisdictions. And I think there'll be a compelling case to be made that shouldn't happen. And so I think they've got legal trouble if that's their that's their intention and that's their plan.
I know I'm not a young man.
And while the politics has yet to fully play itself out, Democrats have much to do ahead of the party's convention in Chicago, which starts August 19th.
How President Biden is viewed, what President Biden's legacy will be, depends very much on what happens in November. If, in fact, Democrats are able to hold the White House, potentially gain control of both chambers of Congress, right? Keep the Senate and have the House. Then I think this will be seen as a very timely and important decision. But this is late in the game. There have been concerns raised about President Biden's age, energy, ability to run effectively for more than a year now. And the timing is very tight for Democrats. Their convention begins on August 19th. They have 4 weeks to either solidify around a candidate, Vice President Harris being the logical choice, or have an open convention, which we haven't seen since 1968.
Biden is being hailed by members of his party as a selfless patriot who has put the country first, including former President Barack Obama and former Speaker Nancy Pelosi, who called him one of the most consequential presidents in American history. How this ends is anyone's guess. The political sands have shifted so swiftly since the presidential debate, Trump's assassination attempt, the Republican convention, and now Biden stepping aside, that yet another political shock or surprise should not be excluded more than 3 months until Election Day. If Harris were to become the Democratic nominee, the immediate question becomes, can a woman win an election in today's America? And while we won't pontificate on Harris's chances to make history, it might be worth remembering that Hillary Clinton won the popular vote in 2016 when she lost the Electoral College to Donald Trump. Sherwin Rice-Pease, SABC News, New York.